Welcome back to Three and Out. We have a jam-packed episode today. A lot to talk about. You can see on Drew's screen on the handy-dandy whiteboard. Today we're talking about, well, minus the bowls, but we're talking about the college football playoff. Stay tuned on the short form if you want to see some more bowl mania content. It's a little more niche, a little more for the ball knowers. So we're gonna save what we're doing now for maybe a bit more of the general public. If you want to talk Florida Tulane, check out the short form.
Yep.
We'll be there for that. But it feels crazy that it's already a year. Regular season is over. It's gone by very quick. And in the inaugural 12-team playoff season, we have the bracket set. It's been set. We have our matchups, and it's this upcoming weekend. So it feels surreal. I'm super excited for these games to play out. How do y'all feel?
Disclaimer, I wrote that before we had our final discussion on topics for the day.
No.
I guessed. Got it half right. Yeah, man, no, it's kind of bittersweet because we're getting some really great, like, premier primetime matchups of blue bloods of the sport that we don't normally see. I mean, I think I had the facts in front of me on a short form one time, like this past week, and I don't think Indiana and Notre Dame have played each other since like the 1800s.
Really?
I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I
Let me
don't think
fact
SM.
check.
Yeah, fact check me on that one. And then SMU Penn State also haven't played each other in like over 50 years. And I think the last time that Notre Dame played on a Friday, they won 5-0 against some like one of the grad schools in the local area. Like these are like I don't know, this 12-team playoff, love it or hate it. If you hate it, you don't like fun. Um, but love it or hate it, it's getting us not only some great matchups, some unique matchups, and just introducing a new, um, like more meaningful football at the end of the season. So
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It's going to be a lot of fun. While Noah continues to fact check.
He's what did you say? 1800s? I got it.
yeah,
They haven't played since 1991.
that's Notre Dame and
Notre
Indiana.
Dame and Indiana.
Okay,
The
then it
last
must be
6 were all in South Bend. Notre Dame won all of them by at least 18 points.
then it must be SMU Penn State.
Yeah.
That
That
sounds more
sounds-
accurate.
Yeah.
Well, because
Yeah.
Indiana, Notre Dame, in-state
They're
rivalry.
cross state, yeah, and they're both semi decent.
Yeah, I feel like they should, especially with Indiana ascending to what they have this season. I think it'd be fun for them to play more often. I know Notre Dame usually tries to go out and schedule a few, better out of conference games to kind of compensate for the fact that they don't have that conference championship at the end of the season. I guess it wouldn't be an out of conference game; it would just be a game for them. But, anyways, I think that's a good segue into our first playoff game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go chronologically for those watching at home, and start with the first one on Friday night. Indiana, Kurt Signetti travel into South Bend to face the Fighting Irish. Currently, Notre Dame is a 7-point favorite in this game. This one's going to be a lot of fun. And disclaimer, we're all Georgia fans, so you can also see in Drew's background. But we will have our eyes glued to this game to see the matchup for the Dogs in the next round. However, and take it how you will, but according to the ESPN matchup predictor, Notre Dame has a 70.3% chance to win this game. So Notre Dame, a pretty heavy favorite, open to 8.5, down to 7. So it's moving a little bit towards the middle, but I feel like Notre Dame touchdown favorite is probably where it's going to end up at. So I'm really excited for this one. With Indiana in the season that they've had, I genuinely think they can not only make this a good game, but win this game. So I don't know. What do y'all think?
I'm kind of in the opposite camp here. Like, is it bad that I think Notre Dame's just gonna blow them out? I don't.
You think so?
My
Yeah.
humble opinion.
I
Notre
mean,
Dame-
look, maybe that's just the part of me that wants a good playoff game.
that's
I
true.
mean,
Since
like-
the Navy game, Notre Dame has kind of been on a tear. I mean, I'll just read off the point totals that they've put up in the last 5 weeks. 51 against Navy, 52 against FSU, 35 against UVA, solid team. 49 against Army, and then 49 against USC.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean they've got hot at the right time, and with how college football is, and you can obviously afford to lose to Northern Illinois in the beginning of the season, and you can erase that by playing well down the stretch, which they have. So I mean, I think Notre Dame is a good team. Obviously, I like Riley Leonard a lot, and Marcus Freeman. I think they've been kind of building towards this, their first playoff berth, underneath Marcus Freeman in the first year of the expanded playoff. So there will be obviously a lot of excitement in South Bend for this game. So I don't know. I mean, I could see it either way. I could see Notre Dame blowing them out of the water. I would like Indiana to keep it close.
Yeah. Another reason why I
But
say that, I mean, it's year one under Signetti, so
yeah,
these aren't his guys. He hasn't had a chance. I mean, some of them are from JMU, yes, but
Yeah.
they're not all his guys, is what I'm
Sure.
trying to say. And then Marcus Freeman on the other side, year 3, Marcus Freeman, I think, something like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
sounds about right.
Just got an extension, no?
Yes, he did.
Mm-hmm.
I critiqued that earlier today.
I saw. You are my source, so
That's true.
There you go.
I don't think terms were ever announced, but I know it's pretty big. It puts him among the highest paid in the sport. So
what a vague announcement.
I know.
Yeah.
Notre
I mean,
Dame,
I think rightfully so.
private
He's
institution. Do they have to disclose that if they're a private university? I don't know if they do.
I don't think they would.
Yeah, if you don't have to, I don't think you should.
Let me
No.
see.
There's no reason to. But
Census designated. I don't know
Notre
what
Dame,
that means.
Notre Dame is a private school. Yes.
Okay, so they don't have to disclose.
we probably won't.
They don't
We
have
probably won't be hearing the details. But
Yeah.
I think Marcus Freeman deserves it. He's brought Notre Dame back to relevance.
Yeah.
Kind of. So.
Yeah, kind of. Like he wins. I don't know. Like he wins like the games that like he should, except for like the one random G5 school. Yeah, NIU last year was Marshall. Like
Yeah.
it's just like does he overlook them? Like is that just like he has a hard time rallying the guys to kick the living crap out of teams they should kick the living crap out of? Like I don't know. I understand it's hard to keep like a bunch of 18 to 22-year-olds focused on anything, much less a team that you're favored by 40 over. But yeah, take that off the resume, and he is like the perfect coach. I mean, he's young, he's winning, he's a good recruiter, he knows how to scheme it up. It'd be very interesting to see if he can coach in the big time moments. Because I think like this will be the biggest game of his career to this point. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But yes, all that being said, Signetti is a proven winner. He has won wherever he goes. Yeah, I do understand it's year one and that he's already exceeded expectations, especially at a school like Indiana. But I did take Indiana plus 7.5. I think it's a one possession game. I took that like a week ago.
Wow.
I was I was kind of
got on it early.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking the line was going to move. Like I was thinking Indiana was going to get a lot of charge going their way.
There's still time. It's down to 7. It opened at 8.5. So at least on ESPN.
You got time for it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. Like I'm not going to mess around with like trying to find the right line, but I think it's a one possession game. I mean, Signetti's a good coach. He's had, neither one of these teams played in a conference championship game, so like they've both had the same amount of time to prepare. Now, not necessarily for each other, but well, yeah, they have had the same amount of time to prepare for each other, just not as long as I was originally making it sound to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's a great coach. He's gonna have the boys ready. I don't think South Bend is gonna really be that kind of a daunting environment. Just because UGA fans were able to take that place over pretty much, and Indiana's a lot closer than Georgia. So
no, I'm sure that there would be quite a few Hoosiers fans showing up to represent. I don't know if this is a cop out, but I think it might have a similar script to the Ohio State game. I think Signetti is a good enough coach to keep him in it down the stretch. But if anybody watched that game, it kind of just came down to, honestly, special teams played a really big part in it.
Yeah.
And that's really where your depth and your athletes can make the difference.
Jimmy's and Joe's.
Exactly. So I think it might come down to that. Obviously, I think Ohio State's a better football team than Notre Dame. So I think Indiana could, very easily make it a one-possession game. Because I believe they lost to Ohio State by a couple of possessions. But in the end, in South Bend, I think it might be a little bit too much, which, I mean, even if Indiana doesn't win this game, I think, year one under Signetti, like you were saying, that it's a massive success to take Indiana from what they've been. They've been the bottom feeder of that conference for a long time.
Pretty much their entire program existence.
Pretty much, other than that one blip.
Bottom feeder.
Yeah, they had a blip when they had Michael Penix, and then they were back to being bottom feeders. But Signetti has just skyrocketed them. I mean, the bar is so much higher now. He's obviously already gotten a massive contract extension. So, for all intents and purposes, I would say this season is a success, even if they get the doors blown off them. But I think they keep it close. I just don't know if they pull it out.
Yeah, I think I like that.
Well, I took him to cover, not to win. I'm not crazy.
No, I mean, hearing that, that's why I'm kind of like, I could see that, because I think in the end, Signetti is a good enough coach to keep him in it. But,
technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties.
Day two. All right, great.
There he goes. Is he still? Oh.
I think he unplugged it and is going to plug
USB.
back in.
Yeah.
Well, he's what?
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. No,
we're completely lost him. Oh, we're back.
We're good.
We're back.
We're back.
Act like we never left.
We're so back. Leave it in. Keep it rolling. Oh, okay.
Okay. Let's talk about the weather. How about that? During the game, the real-time weather should be cloudy and 27 degrees. I think there's supposed to be one snow game. And we get to that a little later.
Second camera angle.
Alternate view, fellas.
Alternate view dropped. I love that.
He's resourceful like that. He just adjusts.
Mm-hmm.
At the drop
we're back.
Just like Signetti, just adjust to the situation at hand.
There you go.
The weather.
That's all you can do. But yeah, gonna be a chilly one. Obviously, both these teams play in Indiana, so they should both be able to fight through that. We'll talk about the weather a little more when we can get to the Ohio State-Tennessee game.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of discourse about that and I have thoughts, but we'll save that. Mm-hmm. But it might be a ground and pound game potentially. I think colder weather probably lends itself a bit more to that. So we'll see. But I would love Indiana to keep it close.
It'd be nice.
Yeah. No, I think that'd be good. Good not only for the program, good for the playoffs because
for Georgia.
I think good for Georgia especially because I feel like historically speaking, I think that Notre Dame has not done well in the playoffs, like losing by multiple possessions, and that has been one of the things. It's been like, well, in a 14 playoff, they're never going to make it back in because every time we put them in, they lose by 21 minimum. And now they're the favorite. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might be an extra layer of added motivation. I mean, I know probably none of these guys on this Notre Dame team were around when they last made the playoff. Obviously, it's been a while, but I think that's probably in the back of your head is like Notre Dame kind of has that reputation of, they get in the playoff, they're kind of an easy out, Mm-hmm. So I think that's definitely in the back of the head of Marcus Freeman. Like we were saying, the biggest game of his career probably so far. So I think they probably come out swinging. But I'm excited to see it. This will be the first playoff game of the entire season. So it'll be hopefully a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool. Very nice. Moving on to Saturday, which is the action-packed day. 3 games that day. Starting off at noon. SMU travels to State College to play Penn State.
In a whiteout.
A playoff whiteout, yes.
They found a way to work in Big Noon Saturday, didn't they?
They did. they would do that. But yes, it is a big noon Saturday kickoff. Penn State's currently an 8.5-point favorite, and the odds for them to win, according to ESPN, are 67.1%. So obviously, Penn State's been the early favorite against an SMU team who had a good season and then dropped one against Clemson in the ACC championship and just barely made it in the playoff. I'm glad that they did. I think that was the correct decision. It was between them and Alabama. So I think it was the right choice, but if they get the doors blown off of them, that should be interesting discourse. I'm sure we'll hear from Alabama fans if they do. So, but I'm trying to think of anything else. Drew Aller, I think today announced he's coming back next year. I don't really know what his other option was, but I think that's good for Penn State probably.
Yes.
So Penn State's weird to me, I will say. They're weird. That Big Ten championship, they hung around with Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they had a chance down the stretch, couldn't really capitalize when they needed to. Mm-hmm. And I think Oregon won by a couple possessions, but it was close down the stretch.
8-point victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, they have.
Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they have athletes. Tyler Warren won the Mackey Award. Drew Aller can be good at times. They have probably one of the best running back tandems in the nation. So they have weapons. And this is also the same way I was talking about Notre Dame. This is probably James Franklin's the biggest game of his career. If you can go out and win a playoff game, I feel like that dispels a little bit of kind of the reputation he has of not being able to come through in the big moments. So a big one for Penn State. So yeah.
Penn State, like you said, Brandon, Penn State is a weird team because, like I mentioned last week, it seems that they let the other team dictate how they're going to play. Because, I mean, in the Big Ten championship game, all of a sudden, they're putting up numbers that I didn't know that Penn State was capable of putting up. I mean, 37 points against that Oregon defense. I didn't know that was possible from a Penn State perspective. This is also the same Penn State team that was only able to score 13 points, and the majority of those were off of a defensive touchdown against Ohio State. So it's like Ohio State said, we're going to run the ball between the tackles and manhandle you. And Penn State was like, all right, bet. We're going to try to do that against you, but better. And it didn't work out that way. But, I don't know. It seems like every other team they play against, not named Ohio State, they're able to do fairly well on offense. I mean, 34, 34, 56, 21, 27, 33, so on and so forth. They're able to put up points. So I know this isn't a betting podcast, but if I was going to do anything on here, it'd be the over, just because this is a big game, which makes me lean away from Penn State and James Franklin. However, it's not necessarily the strongest opponent they've ever faced in SMU. So
yeah, I
mean, it's hard to not pick the Lions here, the Nittany Lions. But I mean, SMU's scrappy. I think they'll hang around. I don't know. I would like to think it's a one possession game, like we mentioned with Notre Dame. You just don't want to see a blowout. You want to see some good games.
Yeah.
But I think that's my heart, not my head. My head says that Penn State wins by at least 10.
Yeah, this is
over the spread.
Yeah. This gives me a very similar vibe to the Indiana Notre Dame game, to be honest with you. Kind of an established quote unquote blue blood facing, a team who hasn't been relevant in a while, kind of coming back into relevancy. So kind of the same storyline. I would also like SMU to keep it close. However, we saw what happened against Clemson, came back to their credit in the end and got their hearts broken by an absolute piss missile of a field goal there in the end. So, I mean, they had what it took to beat Clemson for what that's worth. However, I think, I hate to say it, but both these games, I just feel like it could come down to just getting, beat by the better athletes. So I'm not sure.
Stupid shit. It depends on whoever gets in the end zone. You know,
Whoever
Scores
whoever
last.
scores
whoever
more-
scores the most
points in the
points.
game wins.
I do
Yeah.
think this game will be decided by how Kevin Jennings plays. Just because,
Mhm.
I mean, we saw it. He did not have his best half of football in the first
Yeah.
half against Clemson. I'm pretty sure, fairly sure he fumbled and threw a pick.
I believe he did. Yes.
Yeah.
I can double check that for you.
But, I mean, 3 touchdown passes in the second half led them back, tied the game with less than a minute to go. You know, some special teams mistakes, and then, like you said, Brandon, to the kicker's credit, nailing just an absolute bomb from
Yes,
56.
2 turnovers.
Yeah.
2 turnovers, Noah. And the kicker's name, by the way,
Nolan
is
Hauser.
Yeah.
Nolan Hauser.
Shout out.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Sorry, man.
Respect on his name.
Give him his flowers.
Trophy
Yeah.
man.
No, he deserves it. Mhm.
But honestly, I think this is the Kevin Jennings game. Like, if he comes in and, I mean, granted, Penn State's defense, they have a solid secondary. I don't know if those linebackers have been tested by a person with the skill set such as Kevin Jennings. You know, can tuck it and run if he has to. So if he beats them to the edge a couple times, look out. All I'm saying, man.
That's a good point. I mean, the biggest games they played against Oregon and Ohio State, talking about Dylan Gabriel and Will Howard, not necessarily the most known for their threat on the ground. So I mean, that is an added layer.
Kind of mobility. There's
for sure.
More of like a, I'm gonna hurt you downfield with my legs. Like, those guys are more like pocket oriented. Like, I can move all around.
Yeah, it's a different defense.
Yeah.
It's a different defensive game plan for sure. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on, especially as a Georgia fan who has experienced being hurt by running quarterbacks a lot. So that could definitely be a wrinkle in the game plan for sure.
I mean, yeah, and the SMU defense has the ability to shut down the Penn State offense. Like, what they did in the second half against Clemson was really impressive, enough to keep them in the game, just keep forcing 3 and outs in that situation. And some would say that Klubnik's better than Aller. I don't know who would say that, but there are some who would.
I think it could be closer than you think.
Good argument. Yeah.
But anyway, no, I think that and some would also argue that Clemson has a more efficient run attack.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I know
that's
who are
a bit warmer.
I don't know.
No, that was legitimately just for clicks. I do not.
That's valid.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say that's rage bait.
TikTok. Yeah.
I'm already getting flamed by Ohio State fans for saying that the Vol faithful were going to checker Neyland. So.
Oh yeah, we'll have a fun conversation about that later.
I meant checker the shoe, but yeah, we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, are we gonna make a pick here? What are we thinking?
If Penn State is up late with the ball, they're going to cover, because Franklin knows the spread, and he knows that. I mean, he knows that he has the reputation of not being a good coach in big games.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, if SMU has the ball and they're only down a possession, watch out.
Yeah.
So, but Penn State's probably going to win the game.
Am I crazy?
Yeah,
I think
I
SMU
mean,
wins, man.
No, take them.
Not crazy.
We need some. We need variety because I'm gonna pick Penn State. Yeah, go ahead.
The formula to beat them, at least the Penn State offense, the formula to stop them is so easy. Stop the run, make Aller push the ball downfield on 3rd and long. Like, we saw him get baited into 2 picks against Oregon. Like, 3rd and 10, that last possession especially, they were driving down 8 to tie the game.
Difference maker.
3rd and 10. He's pushing the ball past the sticks, throws a pick. So force them into mistakes. Stop the run.
He's a great check down quarterback.
No, he is. He makes the right throw unless, he needs the yardage. Then he will force it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, genuinely, I hope SMU wins. I will put that on record. I hope they win, because an SMU Boise State matchup would. Oh my gosh, it would feed families. I would love that. I just think this one's a bit too much, too big of a spot for James Franklin to be losing it. I don't know. I've kind of convinced myself that they're going all in on it, and with the talent they have on the team, they should win. That's what I'm going to stick with. But regardless, I hope it's a really good game because I'm going to be disappointed if we have just nothing but blowouts in the first round of this playoff. So,
I agree.
All right.
So 2 for Penn State, 1 SMU. I love it.
I'm tempted to put money on them to cover SMU. To at least cover.
I mean, if you're that confident if you're a little bit confident in them winning the game, I would put money on them to cover.
Yeah,
I might do that.
I'm gonna flirt with it. I'm gonna wait for my podcast to come out later this week, but I'm also leaning that way.
Wait for the sources.
You might be
do your due diligence.
My picks, Drew. You might be receiving those.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks for the insight.
There we go. Anyways, moving on to the next game that day, we have Clemson and Texas, which is a very, very intriguing matchup to me.
Yes.
Clemson obviously coming off of a last-second victory in the ACC championship against SMU, a game where they led by a couple possessions, I believe, and then kind of stalled a little bit, let them come back, and then nailed a field goal in the last second to win it. And then Texas, obviously, Nolan Hauser, there we go. And then Texas obviously coming off of an overtime loss against Georgia in the SEC championship. Georgia seems to be their kryptonite in conference this season, responsible for Texas's only 2 losses of the entire season. So this one's in Austin, obviously. Texas hosting Clemson, the battle of burnt versus, I guess, regular orange, whatever shade of orange Clemson wears. Bright? Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I'm not. Yeah, sure.
The unofficial Orange Bowl?
Yeah, pretty much. This is the largest spread we've seen so far in the games that we've covered. If you haven't seen the other videos, we've already previewed the game earlier in the day, the noon slot, and then the Friday game. So go check those out if you haven't already. However, Texas is currently a 11.5 point favorite. It's up 1 point since open. The line opened. It opened at 10.5 points, and Texas supposedly has an 80.4% chance to win this football game. So obviously Texas, the heavy favorite here. I don't know. I think Clemson can keep it close. I kind of like them to cover, but I want to know what y'all think. That's my first gut feel on this game, is that seems a bit much for a Clemson team who has not looked the best at times this season, obviously opening with Georgia, getting smoked, and then went on a tear for a little bit, lost to Louisville. And then South Carolina, who, honestly, losing to South Carolina, there's the worst losses than losing to South Carolina at that point in the season. They had been hot, kind of peaking at the end of the season for the Gamecocks. So, I don't know. 11.5 seems a bit steep to me. I obviously probably lean Texas. But I just think, outside of Georgia, they don't really have a marquee win on the season. Kind of got gifted with easy-ish schedule their first year in the SEC, obviously having to face Georgia, and then, in the regular season and losing to them again in the SEC championship. So it seems like they have a problem with premier competition. I guess it just depends on if you consider Clemson premier competition.
So, question for you guys.
Shoot.
When was the last time Clemson and Texas played each other? Bonus points if you can tell me the last time they met in Austin.
I don't know, Paul. I don't know if I can answer that.
1962.
Brandon, do you want to just spit out a number, see who's the closest?
I don't think it's this century. I feel like I would have remembered that. I'm going to go like 71.
All right. So, I hate to tell you this, but it was a trick question. They have never played each other.
There you go.
How have they never played?
That's kind of crazy. That's crazy.
Texas has been playing football since 1893, and Clemson has been playing football in 1896, and this is their first matchup.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love that, though. That's I feel like that's what the playoffs expanded for, matchups like this.
Yeah. That is what
against two teams that are kind of premier teams in the world of college football meeting for the first time. So I like that a lot.
That was like Georgia, Oklahoma. That Rose Bowl, that's their first ever meeting. Like two
crazy.
multiple championships between them. Only one
Hey.
meeting.
Yep.
If this game is a fraction of how good that Rose Bowl was, I will be very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But yes, looking at Texas' schedule, all going off your point, Brandon, their best win by far is Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
By far.
And Texas A&M looked bad in that game. I'm not gonna lie to you. They looked
Texas
bad.
A&M played so bad. If Texas A&M's offense had a pulse, they would have won at least 24-17.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, hey, the Texas defense stood up. The run game from Texas stood up, and things were looking like they were trending in the right direction. And then they lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, where their defense still played well. So I think if you get into a battle of defenses, and like that's where you're depending on my defense is better than your defense, I think Clemson has more of a history of winning those matchups. Now I do understand it's it's going to be in DKR, so that's obviously going to give Texas an edge, especially if there are water bottles on the field. But I don't know. I'm kind of leaning Clemson to cover, just because Dabo's been here before.
Mm-hmm.
If we're really if the game plan, if the script is really my defense is better than your defense, like Clemson has played games like that. Klubnik knows how to play in that role, and like I don't know how secure in his position that Quinn Ewers is, because I feel like slowly but surely, as the Texas offense has become less and less prolific, like the leash has gotten a little shorter every week. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would love Clemson to cover here. Could see them winning, but I mean, I feel like Texas will find a way, but it'll probably be ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I couldn't tell you the last time Texas covered, because they didn't cover against Kentucky. They definitely didn't cover against Arkansas.
Maybe
They covered
Florida.
against Florida.
Yeah, that
was a
Florida
massive
team was
win.
like, well, they were on their like fourth string DBs. They were pulling guys
Yep.
off the street. So
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, to be fair, it was in Nashville, but like they only beat Vandy by 3. Like they just like I don't know. Anytime they're a double-digit favorite, things seemingly do not go well for Texas, unless they're playing Oklahoma.
yeah.
This
I don't
one,
know. Just saying.
I think I'm with you with the Clemson might cover, just because it's an experience game. Like something we throw around a lot, like especially when it's playoff time in our friend group, it's like giving Kirby Smart time to prepare for a CFP game.
Yeah.
Like Georgia's gonna look like a completely different team, and I think Clemson kind of the same way. Dabo's made, God, I don't know how many playoff appearances. I had
a shit ton.
Hold on.
Quite a few. He's been there a lot.
7 appearances, 10 total
Mm-hmm.
games.
Good night.
It's
dude.
insane.
I mean, to be fair, most of those have come with a generational quarterback.
That's
which
true.
Cade
Yeah.
Klubnik is not.
But defensively, I think, especially with Texas coming off a loss,
yes,
they might have shown some things against Georgia that
true.
Clemson's defense might also be able to expose more so than other defenses out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm intrigued by it for sure. It's I definitely think I'm kind of leaning low key under here as well.
I fuck with that. No,
Yeah.
I like that because
I can see that.
Over under is what 51.5 on BetMGM and ESPN. It's
same thing.
51.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Like this could very well be like a 24-21 matchup, and that's a lot of points for this game. In my opinion. Yeah.
I like that. I think I'm heavy on Clemson covering here personally. That Texas offense is kind of fizzled out a little bit as the season has gone on. I am genuinely shocked that after seeing what Arch Manning did, that rushing touchdown he had against Texas A&M, kind of came in and sparked it and scored a touchdown. That I'm not saying they're going to make the switch, because I don't think they will. I think Sark is going to be loyal to Quinn Ewers. for better or worse, who's to say? I think he'll be loyal to him, but I'm surprised that there's not some kind of like Arch Manning package already installed. I was anticipating it for the SEC championship, especially with a team like Georgia, who has historically had struggles against teams with a mobile quarterback. Obviously, Arch bringing much more of that to the table than Quinn. Mm-hmm. So
you got 2 snaps.
I'll be interested to see.
Yes, yeah. And he was a decoy for one of them.
Yep. Yeah, it was a direct snap between his legs, and it worked. That was a good play call. I'll give it to him. That was a good play call. I guess they're trying to strike the balance of not putting Arch in and not like too much to maybe hurt Quinn's confidence.
Yeah,
but he's just looked. He hasn't looked especially bad. No. I wouldn't say he's a bad quarterback. There's moments where it's just he doesn't look like the former version of himself from the playoff run they had last season. He's making more mistakes. It's kind of like Carson Beck-ish. Yes. I think he's regressed from last season in their playoff run. So I think they eke it out. I personally think Texas is going to find a way to win this game. And obviously Sark has some playoff experience, but Dabo, obviously, like y'all were saying, has much more. I think he's going to have this Clemson team ready to go out there and make it a game. So I very much like Clemson to cover 11.5 points. That feels like a lot to me.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed what you said there, Brandon, about like drawing comparisons between Quinn and Carson. Like, It's not that Quinn Ewers is playing poorly. Right, he just isn't quite meeting the expectations that we had for him. I mean, he was on the cover of the video game for crying out loud. Like,
I mean, I honestly forget that, and that might be a good TikTok. But you have Quinn Ewers and you have Donovan Edwards. What has he done this entire season? So, I mean, obviously you have the Heisman winner, the third cover athlete, but he probably should have been the only guy on there. But anyways, he's definitely regressed. I mean, last year Quinn had a hell of a season.
Yeah.
So
and we would say the same thing if Arch was Carson Beck's backup. Like the arguments would be there to bring him in. I mean, hell, now the arguments I've heard a lot of people say like even if Carson's healthy, like keep Gunner in or at least give him a few packages.
I don't know if it was on here, but at least privately, I know I was at least like thinking, when Carson was having his interception, his turnover struggles, I was at least thinking, and I might have vocalized it to you too in private, but potentially giving some other quarterbacks some shine. I don't know, but you're 100% right. I mean,
yeah, it's not. We're not. I just want to clarify to the people that are watching this: we're not shitting on Quinn Ewers at all. He's just not quite. He's playing well. He's playing well enough that they're still winning games. They're still the 5 seed. Like. You had Georgia had to take you to overtime to take care of business. So you're still playing well. It's just not putting up 50 every game, which really, fair or not, was the expectation. All that being said, the more that we talk about it, the more I love Clemson to cover, and the more I'm liking the under. Most of the time when you take the underdog to cover, you also like the under most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like both of those a lot. I don't know if it was you, Drew, who said it, but I feel like 24-21 would be a lot for this game, personally. Yeah. I don't really see either of these offenses being potent enough to score that many points on the opposing defense. I think both these teams are going to come out there and lean on their defense, both having some offensive struggles down the stretch, respectively. So this one might be kind of SEC championship-esque, where it's more of a defensive struggle. But like I said earlier, I think Texas finds a way to win it, personally. I don't think I would put any money on Clemson money line, but I do like them a lot to cover.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Clean sweep for Texas, I guess.
Clean sweep, yeah. I mean, I would love to pick Clemson. Drew, do you want to? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, but I think that'll be one of, obviously, I mean, the line doesn't indicate it, but I think that'll be one of the better games. I mean, I don't know where we're getting an 11.5 from. Obviously, Vegas knows more than we do, but just gut feeling doesn't feel right. But we'll see about that. Moving on to the final game of the evening, the nightcap. 8 o'clock in Columbus, Ohio, in the shoe, where Tennessee fans are trying to take over and checker the stadium. We posted Mr. Allen here posted a TikTok about that, or a short form, because it's done well on Instagram and TikTok. So if you're there from either of those videos, welcome. You can hear all of our thoughts here. But obviously Tennessee trying to travel well into the shoe. Tennessee not playing in their conference neither of these teams playing in their conference championship games. 2 lost teams that didn't make an appearance but made the playoffs. So obviously Ohio State missing out on the Big Ten championship because of that loss against Michigan at home. And then Tennessee kind of just had a stroke of bad luck with everything that happened at the end of the season in the SEC. So
looking back on it, you think Ryan Day lost to Michigan on purpose?
He was ducking Oregon.
He's playing chess.
Where's my tinfoil hat, honey?
Mm-hmm. We had a similar video about that, I think, earlier in the season, about Penn State losing on purpose or something.
We did.
And they still got roped into playing in the Big Ten title game.
I know.
They did, yeah. They couldn't escape it. So, however, it's interesting. I know Paul Feinbaum call for Ryan Day to be fired on the field if he lost this game?
There have been multiple people calling for that, both Ohio State fans and analysts on all the major networks. It's out there. It's out there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I see the argument. I really do. Because especially this, like, Ohio State's always had one of the most talented teams in college football, like for the past decade, it feels like. But now this year, they have the most talented team in college football.
Mm-hmm.
Well, coming out of high school, coming into college, they have the most talented football team ever assembled in college football history.
Yeah.
Now from college to the NFL, you have your LSUs, your Miamis, your Georgias, so on and so forth. But anyway, from a recruiting perspective, this is the best team ever assembled. And on top of that, he has lost to Oregon, he has lost to Michigan, and in the past, he has also lost key matchups to Georgia and key matchups to Michigan abundantly. I mean, it's crazy because I still think he has a single-digit number in the loss column in his time at Ohio State. But
only one loss to an unranked opponent, and it happened in the last game they played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's another problem is, like, they've had a lot of time to sit on that loss.
Yeah. Okay, his overall record 66-10 as a head coach.
Yeah, so I mean,
he's
almost single. Yeah, you know, he was there for a while. So I mean, obviously not a bad coach. And then obviously, you know, Paul Feinbaum and everybody, it's probably a little exaggerated. I will say, if there was a time to fire him on the field, it was after that Michigan game, rather than losing in the playoff against Tennessee. But
let's just say hypothetically they get boat raced.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like
I think you let him go home, and then you call him into the AD's office the next morning. I think
you let him go home.
I don't think you fire him on the spot unless Tennessee puts up like 75, and then you don't score.
Well, what if Urban's in the building, right? Like, do you fire him?
You let Urban fire him, actually. Yeah, I was gonna say, let him have the honors. But
hey, kid, you know, you're welcome. But what the fuck?
Yeah.
No,
I'd love that.
I hear
have y'all seen that meme?
Analysts down in Athens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Head on over. I'm just gonna give y'all. Have y'all seen that meme where if they made that video of Urban Meyer handing over the like video game controller to Ryan Day as like the coach transition, and it cuts to a clip of like some game where a bus is being driven off a cliff.
Yes.
I think that's pretty indicative of his tenure. I mean, look, obviously it's a little exaggerated. He's not a bad head coach. You know, his record is not bad. However, it's just the big moments. I mean, and then, you know, dropping that many games to Michigan is inexcusable with a team like that. Drew, like you were saying, on paper, the best team ever assembled, at least, ratings wise for recruits and stuff like that. I mean, coming into the season, I remember having the conversations of, on paper, this Ohio State team should boat race every single team that they play.
Yep.
And they haven't. I feel like they're kind of a bit like, who was it? Was it Penn State? I think they play down to their competition. I think they maybe let the pace of play of the other team dictate how they're playing. And I think a big thing to keep an eye on here is Tennessee's rushing game, because Michigan came out and rushed for 172 yards against Ohio State in the game. Yeah. And Dylan Sampson is one of the better running backs in the entire country, and they lean on him in that offense. And if they can get him going, I think Ohio State's in trouble.
And that Tennessee, that Tennessee pass rush ain't no joke.
That's true.
So, I don't know. It'll be very interesting. But like, also, again, drawing the parallels, just let everybody know we are not completely shitting on Ryan Day. We would be saying the exact same thing about Kirby if Kirby didn't have 2 rings on his record, right?
True.
Like, that'd be very similar situations. Multiple SEC championships, multiple New Year's Six bowl games, no natties. We would be having the same argument. Great coach.
I mean,
great coach. Just
we were having the same argument a decade
ago.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ricks, multiple SEC champions. No
multiple
natties.
back-to-back 10-win seasons, multiple Sugar Bowls, like everything that you could ever want out of a coach from the 1970s. Right? Like,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, obviously success is good, but if you don't reach the mountaintop, or at least, continue to progress towards that goal, I mean, teams are getting impatient nowadays, especially in a program like Ohio State, where they have a very high expectation out of their football team, and they have for a long time. And I mean, we're coming up on it's been a decade since they won one. They won 2014, the inaugural 4-team playoff season. So it's been a while for them, and I think they're feeling that. And I think Ryan Day knows that.
Ryan Day did not win that.
That's true.
No.
He was on staff, right?
He was on staff. Yeah, he was a coordinator.
I think it just goes to show the amount. I think what it partially has to do with like the commercialization of college football, like where it's going. It's getting to be a lot more like the NFL, especially with the marquee programs. The waiting time for a coach to prove himself worthy, like on the CFP scale, like we see it with the NFL. It's like, okay, if you're not making the playoffs in your second season, what are we doing here? It's just we're getting to that
I
point.
can see that,
and especially with a fan base and a school like Ohio State, where storied history. We could throw Tennessee there too. They're getting to that point. They're year 3 under Heupel, year 4, something like that.
I think is at least 4.
I think 4.
He's been there for a while.
Yeah. But but they're ascending. Like, they're making progress.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was saying, is you have to keep progressing toward it.
Right.
Obviously,
meaningful game in December since Peyton Manning was the quarterback. Like,
true.
That's valid. So, I mean,
speaking of, last time Tennessee and Ohio State played, when was it?
Oh, I saw this today. I think I have that answer.
Okay. Well,
I have no.
I saw that.
I don't even know. I don't know ball, guys. I don't know. I don't have the matchup. Oh shit. I'm gonna go. It's got to be sometime in the 90s. I'm gonna go like 94.
You are close. So close. January 1st, 1996. The 1995 season, technically. This was obviously in a bowl game.
Yeah.
I don't know what bowl it was, because it just says Ohio State was the home team. Was it the Citrus Bowl? The Citrus Bowl would make sense.
Yeah, Citrus Bowl.
Yeah. But yes, the score was 20-14 in favor of Tennessee. So quality. Yeah, that's right. Tennessee going into the shoe, winning by 7. But yeah, it like, again, they've only played once in the history of the schools, and 2 powerhouses of the college football world. Another example of why the playoff is a good thing.
Mm. Yeah.
But
No, I mean,
yes.
it's good for the sport, and it's
Yep.
a great matchup, I think. Two teams in different spots being where they are. Obviously, Tennessee probably thrilled to be where they are, on the up and up. First year making the playoff. Ohio State a bit disappointed, licking their wounds after losing to their biggest rival to be knocked out of the conference championship and knocked out of contention for that first round bye. So they're meeting on two different trajectories right now. I don't know, man. I kind of like Tennessee here. I can't lie to you. I think if they get the ground game going, it's wraps. I haven't been that impressed with Ohio State personally this season. I don't know. What do y'all think? I'm still trying to talk myself into it, but I think this is going to be a very good game. What was it's a 7-point,
7.5.
7.5 point spread?
Yeah.
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 I'm kind of messing with the Vols here.
I can't. Oh, I don't know. I'm trying to bring myself to the same thing.
I mean, genuinely, I'm
just-
curious if they take over that stadium or not. I mean, I don't think they're gonna take it over, but I think from what I've seen in our videos, there's gonna be a presence that's probably. I think they'll have the biggest presence of any away team in the first round.
Well, their pre-sale code got leaked. That was the funniest thing I've
Mm-hmm.
ever seen.
Yeah, the season ticket holder pre-sale code got leaked.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and then Noah, I'm pretty sure you made a video on this. Like, there were literally people photoshopping themselves
Trojan horsing their way into
buying
Ohio State tickets.
Yeah. Like, I
That's
wouldn't be
awesome.
surprised if a quarter of that stadium was wearing orange. Now, I don't think there's going to be anywhere near enough to actually check report it. Like, listen, guys, if any of y'all are here from the short form, that was 100% clickbait. But it would be hilarious if it
Shameless.
happened. Yeah. Like, listen, hey, respect the grind. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. We're
Gotta
trying to build a
it.
community here. The amount of dopamine that enters my system every time we get a comment or a like is unhealthy at this point. But yes, I think this game would be very interesting because, Brandon, like you said, very hot and cold Ohio State team.
Yeah.
Very hot and cold. Because, they'll come out and they'll put 52, 56, 49, 38, 35 up for their first, couple of games of the season, and they still put up 31 in Eugene. And then they'll turn around and only beat Nebraska by 4, only beat Penn State by 7, only lose to Michigan by 3. I don't know. It's very interesting because I have a hard time getting a read on this Ohio State team. And then Tennessee, beat Vanderbilt by 13, kicked the living crap out of UTEP. Obviously lost to Georgia, but that was in Athens. I genuinely think there might be more Tennessee fans in Ohio than there were in Athens that day.
They came out swinging in that game, though. I mean, they Tennessee went up 10 points. Obviously Georgia starts slow, but they were up 10 points in that game at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know, man.
I just feel like these are two teams that are pretty hard to get a read on.
Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that assessment. I just think for me, it boils down to what we were talking about earlier, kind of the opposing directions that these teams are going in. And I think I value that a lot right now.
Yeah.
Especially with the new format.
Yeah.
To get hot at the right time.
Yeah.
It's very favorable.
So is this another take the underdog to cover and then take the under kind of game, or what's the weather looking like? Anybody know that one?
Ooh, that's a good topic of discussion because that's been a talking point. I've seen people, Ohio State fans, talking about how it's going to be cold there and how Tennessee is going to struggle with that. I don't know if anybody's ever been to Knoxville in the wintertime. It's not warm.
It's breezy. Yeah.
It's right on the river, which
kickoff temp is looking like 27 degrees. Partly cloudy.
Yeah.
Which
it's
it's not that much. Come on.
It's not that cold.
You can't boast about a home field weather advantage and it'd be 27 degrees at kickoff.
I need sub-zero temperatures. I need snow falling. I just don't think, if anybody's ever played football, I mean, yes, look, 26 degrees, that's cold. Once you get up and running around, you're fine. And those guys have coats on the sidelines and heaters.
Yep.
I genuinely don't think it's going to be that much of a factor. Tennessee, Knoxville, it gets cold there. Not as cold as Columbus, but it gets cold. So, yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't know if that'll play as much of a factor. I think I like Tennessee here, though.
Just to put it in perspective, game time on Saturday in Knoxville would be 35 and raining.
That's arguably worse. With the rain.
Arguably worse because
I mean, because
we're talking like what, an 8-degree difference, but like the rain, like
cold rain, like
cold rain.
almost sleet.
Yeah.
That would be nasty.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's one of those things. Like, I don't think it's gonna be that big of a factor.
No.
But again, would behoove you to take the under in a cold game like this. And I think both. I don't know. I think that Tennessee's defense has played well at times, even though they're more known for their offense. I think their defense has done well. I think when Tennessee is clicking, they are playing complementary football, which makes it a lot easier, obviously.
They just haven't put it all together. Like, they've had great stretches, like you said, Brandon. Went up 10-0 against Georgia in Athens.
Yeah.
Have not, and I would argue this about a lot of teams, have not put it all together for a 4-quarter stretch.
Georgia hasn't put it all together for a 4-quarter stretch.
That's why I said I argue it for a lot of teams. But a team like Tennessee, they're dangerous entering the playoff. And I'd argue the same about Georgia. We haven't seen them play their best football. Ohio State is reeling, and that's a dangerous position to be in. You just got embarrassed on your home field. So,
have we seen Ohio State's best game?
Marshall.
Because who is their best game? Is it losing by 1 at Oregon, or is it beating Penn State by a possession?
It's probably Penn State, and that game was sloppy.
I would argue Penn State because it never felt like Ohio State was not in control of that game. There was one drive where I was like, okay, if Penn State can score here, the momentum will shift. But they intercepted Drew Allen in the end zone on one of the more ridiculous interceptions I've ever seen in my life. But
is that the one before halftime? I think I know.
Right, yeah, right before halftime. Because I think Penn State, if they could have scored there, they would have only been down. Maybe they were up, but then they would have gotten the ball to start the second half. And I'm like, oh, okay, if they can get a 2 for here, that'd be sick. But anyway, I digress. It'll be very interesting to see which version of Ohio State we're going to get. Are we going to get the high firepower, able to put up 55 Ohio State, or are we going to get we're going to run the ball 17 times, getting 4 yards a carry, and we're going to score 17 points, hopefully win by 3, Ohio State.
Yeah,
and same with Tennessee. Because that Arkansas game was ugly.
Yeah, I think the biggest player for me here is Nico Iamaleava, personally, because when I think about Tennessee's offense and underneath Heupel the past few years, they want to spread you out and they want to throw it downfield and they want to get up on the ball and do it now. Obviously, this season has been a bit more of a pivot. Nico not really putting up the same production as guys like Joe Milton or Hendon Hooker in that Tennessee offense, and they've been leaning more heavily on that running game, which, Dylan Sampson is a very good running back. So luckily they've been able to do that. I think if they can get Dylan Sampson going, and if Nico can play a game where I don't think he needs to win it for them, I just think he needs to not lose it for him. I think he needs to play a mistake-free game and maybe make a handful of good plays. Because if Nico can do it through the air, I like Tennessee a lot here. I just think for me at this point in the season with Ohio State, I'm not very confident in what they've shown. I think they have all the talent in the world, but Drew, like I said, like you were saying, I think this is the kind of game where they come out and ground and pound. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, put up maybe somewhere close to 20 points, and hope their defense can stick it out for them. That seems to be their identity this season, and I don't know if that's going to be enough.
So you don't think Will Howard's going to be much of a factor at all?
I mean, I think he's going to need to be if they're going to win the game. I haven't been overly impressed by him, but I mean, he's not a bad quarterback. When I first, coming into the season, Will Howard at Ohio State, I thought he was going to tear it up.
Yeah.
And it's just that offense. I feel like it's so weird the way that they utilize him. Obviously they have a very good running back room, so I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
And
I just don't know. I just don't know about it, man.
Yeah, their offensive line has also been kind of piecemeal over the last month and a half, pretty much. So I don't. It'll be very interesting. I listen. I'm not in the press conference with Ryan Day and the offensive coordinator. I don't know if the offensive line will be healthy. Huh?
Chip Kelly is the OC.
Yeah, that's right. I knew that. I just didn't know that in the moment. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if their offensive line is going to be back to 100%. So I don't know, but I don't know. The more we talk about it, the more I love the underdogs on Saturday.
Oh, this is not good.
No, it's not good. It's not good at all.
They can't all cover, guys.
They can't. Mathematically speaking, statistics say they're not all gonna cover.
But I want to be right on one of them.
Yes,
one
right.
of them
We have a better chance on being right on one of them. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your pick, Drew? What do you got? I want someone else to go first.
Okay, I'm gonna explain my reasoning and just talk, and then I'll hopefully eventually point myself one way or the other. Okay, I hear what Brandon is saying about the trajectory of the programs. That is definitely a valid point where Tennessee is trending up. However, I don't think Tennessee is trending up in a way that Indiana is trending up. Indiana is skyrocketing. Now, to be fair, I do think that Tennessee's way of trending up is more sustainable for the long run. But I don't know if they're there yet. And Ohio State has plenty of experience in the playoff, albeit not winning playoff games all the time, but they know these primetime matchups, and they've had a few this year. Not to say that Tennessee hasn't. I mean, they hosted Alabama, they went to Athens, and they have these big matchups, but Ohio State went to Eugene, they lost by a point. They hosted Penn State, and they dominated the game. So I think I have to lean Ohio State here. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to, but I think you almost have to, which sucks.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah. It's definitely a prove it game. It's a prove it game, and it's hard.
Ryan Day is coaching for his job. If Chip Kelly turns into a bitch, take the playbook out of his hands.
It's now or never for real. And
genuinely.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If it wasn't now or never, I think I would lean Tennessee. I just keep coming back to it. Like what we've talked about Dylan Sampson. Oh my gosh. They're going to be able to run the ball, which is going to open up everything else.
Yes.
Screw it. Give me Tennessee by field goal. Screw it.
Lord!
Screw it.
So what I'm hearing is Tennessee to cover. That's what I'm hearing. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
I've been decided on this. I've been decided. I'm taking the Vols. I can't. And look, with this season, how many upsets there's been, it's bound to happen. I haven't taken an underdog outright. I think this is the one. Honestly.
Okay, Bowie.
Okay. Hey, shout out
But
Film Stock, man.
Shout out
Shout out
Film
Film
Stock.
Stock, yeah.
He called TCU beating Michigan a couple of years
He
ago.
did.
He
Yeah,
called it.
he did. That was a
Yeah.
great call.
He put American currency on it.
He put sizable dinero on that.
He put,
So
he put a
Brandon,
few
are you going to do the
presidents on it.
same?
We'll see about that. If I were in Florida with Hard Rock, I might consider it, but we'll see. Anyways, I think this is my underdog pick straight up. Like I was saying before, if they get Dylan Sampson going, I think it's going to be a world. Excuse me, I can't talk. Of trouble for Ohio State. So it's just kind of a gut feel here. I think these two teams are very close to each other in where they are this season. Obviously, yes, Ohio State on paper, they should win this game. And I think they very well could. But with where Tennessee is right now and Ohio State coming off of kind of a letdown spot, I don't know, man. Just something about the Vols here I like a lot. So I don't know if I have really any other good reasoning other than that. I feel like I've fleshed out my argument earlier, and I think I'll let that stand. But this is my underdog pick, and I would love it if it happens. I could see Ohio State winning, but I think this is obviously the most deserving game to be the nightcap of Saturday because 100%. I think it'll be the best game. And these two fan bases even going against each other has been entertainment. It's been cinema. Just seeing the comment sections of the videos that we posted. There's no love lost on either fan base. So I will be interested to see how many Tennessee fans do show up to the game. I don't really feel like that plays too much of a factor. But we're going to see some orange there. I think Tennessee travels. I looked it up. It's only a little over 5 hours from Knoxville to Columbus.
Oh,
that's crazy.
So I think they're going to be traveling in numbers. Obviously, we were talking about earlier, the pre-sale code got leaked, so who knows what we'll see. I don't think they're going to check report it like Drew was saying. I think that would be hilarious if they did. I don't think they will. They won't have enough people probably, but there's going to be a sizable Tennessee presence there. I'm excited for this game no matter what. I'm leaning Vols here, definitely to cover, but I'm going to take them straight up.
Yeah, no one's gonna slight you for that. I do think that this. I don't know. I hope they're all fun games, but I think this one will probably take the cake. Like, there's a reason it's the night game.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
I don't know if there's anything else to say about that.
I mean,
I think we put it all out there. Now all there is to do is play the games. So, very excited. This weekend is going to be awesome. What we've been waiting for all year with the 12-team playoff. Go for it.
Just because I've gotten like 7 notifications since we've been talking about this game. Thank you all for all of the support on the short form. I mean, we'll be honest, or at least I'll be honest. We thought Instagram was left for dead. We haven't had really any traction on there for the past year and a half. And in the past 6 weeks, we've had 3 short forms just explode out of nowhere. Not really sure where that came from. Really appreciate you guys on Instagram, TikTok. Lord knows how long that's going to be around. But
yeah,
really
we'll see about that one.
Yeah,
no, we appreciate you from TikTok. That's our most successful one too. So hopefully it sticks around. But no, I mean, if you're here from any of the short form platforms, we do appreciate you coming on over and checking out our long form content. Obviously,
716 on YouTube.
Road to 750, short-term goal, long-term goal, 1,000. So we appreciate each and every one of you. And, if you've come over here to watch our long form, we do appreciate that. This is, we enjoy making the short form. Don't get us wrong, but this is what we really love, is getting together and talking ball in a format like this. So if you support in any kind of way, it's much appreciated. So, yeah, let us know in the comments, your picks for any of these games. Obviously could go either way and a lot of probably close calls. So we want to hear what you think about all these games. It's going to be a really exciting weekend. Keep an eye out. We'll definitely have some recap content up for this weekend regardless. It's a must. So we're going to be here for it all. Recap, long form, short form, both of them, really. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. We appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.